And guys, we are back. The New York Knicks, they have found themselves in a situation that nobody expected going in to this playoff series, as now they completely have control over a playoff series that they were widely expected to not be in any sort of control of just a few weeks, not even just a week ago. We thought we were looking at a completely different situation, but now the New York Knicks have absolutely fooled the NBA and are up 2-0. Guys, welcome back to Knicks Digest Happy Hour. It has been a while, but we're back. We got the great Celtics Digest creator, also on Suns Digest. You could find him there as well, Bruce Veliz. Bruce, first guest on the show in Season 2 of Knicks Digest Happy Hour. Matt, he's back. He's better than ever. You can find him on Jets Digest and someday Knicks Digest as well once I give him the password to the account, if he deserves it. That's up to us, but what's not up to us is the fact that the Knicks are up 2-0 on the Celtics, Bruce. How's that one feeling?
I mean, it's not feeling great. And, after, winning 5 out of the 8 quarters in this series and still being down 2-0 is just not pleasant as a Celtics fan. I know I'm not speaking just for myself, but all the Celtics fans out there. But you guys, you guys are on cloud nine. I've seen the streets party, and I see the street talk New York City. They're getting amped, and I think that if New York even beats the Celtics in this series, there might be an earthquake in New York. Not even if they win a championship, they might even be worse.
I mean, we're pretty convinced that if we win this series, it means that we're going to the NBA Finals, because it looks like it's going to be the Pacers. I know we lost to the Pacers last time, but the Knicks had 7 different injuries in that series, so it's not something that we're really going to be too freaked out about as of right now. But look, the league has been exposed by the New York Knicks, because everyone thought that this Knicks team wasn't working. All regular season Knicks fans thought it. Fans outside the NBA were afraid, and now things are looking a lot different inside the MSG walls. I mean, Matt, it's been a while since you've been on Knicks Digest, since we've kind of taken a bit of a break from these happy hours for a bit. Well, we did a little bit of a revamping of Knicks Digest. There's now a lot more YouTube Shorts on the channel, and there was a lot less Matt Long in the turn, but now you're back.
Yeah, let's go. Let's bring it back, dude. I was looking at tickets for Game 3 potentially at the Garden. I was gonna check before Game 1. I was thinking maybe I'll go if they don't get blown out Game 1. And my dad goes, if they win one of those 2 games, the ticket prices are gonna explode. But no one saw coming both games the Knicks winning. So now it is this $700 cheapest price that we're seeing. That's standing room only. I have it on good authority that Chris, someone that we both know, paid $750, so only $50 more for standing room only to the NBA Finals last year.
Who was that? Can I get an initial or 2 initials?
He's the one Boston Celtics fan that we talked to in real life.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, that must have been electric. Hopefully the Knicks can get there, which the path is there for the Knicks to get there. The Celtics are still the biggest obstacle facing the New York Knicks in terms of making it to the NBA Finals. I'm even down 2-0. The Celtics obviously nothing to be looking over. We know we built this team to purposely go up against the Boston Celtics, and no one saw it actually working out. So I'm pretty stoked that we're here, Chris.
So am I. I mean, look, I agree. I definitely don't think by any means the series is locked up or anything like that. I am worried about Knicks fans. We're obviously getting very excited with this, and we should be excited, but it's definitely been a series where it felt like both games the Knicks were just going to lose, especially after that first real run the Knicks had. When they won Game 1, it felt like, all right, you know what? I could see why that's possible. The Knicks defense locked in for what felt like the first time, truly all season. I mean, there were moments against the Pistons. We saw OG play very, very, very great defense against Cade Cunningham, despite the fact that Cade continued to play well. We saw Mikal's defense take a leap. But even against the Celtics, it was like, all right, we got this one. Are we going to get another game? And there's a world. I mean, you had Colin Cowherd saying this most meaningless Game 1 of all time because the Celtics are going to win the next 4. I think a lot of Knicks fans knew that was a real possibility. The Celtics could just walk through the next 4 games. I mean, Bruce, this is more of a question for you because I'm not a Celtics fan. I don't watch the Celtics every night. But To me, the energy I got after game one was the Celtics kind of going like, damn, okay, they got us. We're just going to win the next 4, though. Like, it felt like their confidence didn't seem shaken at all after game one, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure, Chris. I felt like kind of going into this series, that's how the Celtics fans did think, and maybe even if it went to 6 games, they still felt confident that this team would be able to take you guys to that point. But I do have to say that towards the end of the game, of game 2, the Celtics bench kind of was in shock, like, oh crap, are the Knicks really going to do this again? And you could see from the Knicks bench, obviously, they were getting really hyped up once Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges started to lead them in that fourth quarter. So I think the Celtics definitely now, after being down 0-2 with their kind of talks and stuff, they've realized, like, this is a tough situation, but we can still kind of get out of it. And that's why I think, like, you and I and Matt probably think that this series isn't over yet, obviously. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of basketball to be played, and it's going to be a great series. And I think that this series still has the possibility of going to 7 games for this series. And I think that'd be great for both teams.
I agree. I mean, as Matt leans in. But I do agree on the sense of, look, all right, the Knicks have won 2 straight in Boston. We know the Celtics have been absolutely unbelievable on the road. They do have 2 wins in MSG this season. There's reasons to fully believe that the Celtics can win games 3 and 4. The Knicks have the momentum, but momentum will only get you so far. You still have to win these games. And the Knicks, look, I think it's both really encouraging and really terrifying that the Knicks had 0.98 points per possession in game 2. Out of all 90 games the Knicks have played this season, that was the lowest. Now, yeah, they won, so that's a good sign. The Knicks defense is real. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, they've all been phenomenal defending. I mean, he looks great. Mikal looks like he started defending after a regular season where there was moments where we saw Mikal and moments where we didn't see Mikal. Josh Hart seems locked in. But at the same time, there's definitely that feeling of, okay, this is far from over, but this is a good sign for the Knicks. At the same time, they're not going to be able to get away with having bad offense every night. The offense is going to have to lock in, namely Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, who, I mean, aren't playing terribly, but Brunson's shooting 35% from the field this series, so it is worrisome.
Now, Brunson's getting Drew Holiday's doing a tremendous job playing defense on Jalen Brunson. He is the only person on that team who can go, like, it's not my fault that we're down 2-0 right now. Because he has been absolutely just shutting down Jalen Brunson. But it's okay because for some reason, Karl-Anthony Towns looks like Wilt Chamberlain right now. He's just absolutely taken over every opportunity that he can possibly get against the Celtics. Game 1, we were playing it close with them. Then he got in foul trouble, went out of the game, and that's when the Celtics built up the lead. Then he came back, and then they lost the lead. So I do think Karl-Anthony Towns is a huge game changer in this series, especially when Kristaps Porzingis is dealing with this mystery illness. Like, no one has any idea what's going on with him, but they know that the Celtics need him. Like, they need him. They need him.
I was gonna second that, Matt, right there when you said that, because you mentioned Karl-Anthony Towns and the Drew Holiday stuff, and I think both of those are key factors for this series. One, the Drew Holiday stuff. I did talk to Chris about this in the NBA Talk chat before, after game 1, talking about Drew Holiday, and in game 2, he definitely showed once again that he can be that great defender on Jalen Brunson, and I think that's one of the guys, like you said, you can't really fault for in this series, even with coming back from injury. But you mentioned Karl-Anthony Towns. His dominance is truly what's really set this Knicks team apart in this series. And you would think that the Celtics have Kristaps Porzingis. He could be that guy to kind of combat with him and kind of go out with him toe-to-toe to kind of match that offensive caliber stuff that we saw in the regular season as well when the Celtics did really good versus the New York Knicks. But unfortunately, like you mentioned, that illness is just really hindering him. He's not on the injury report for the next game that already came out, so he should be available, should be ready to go, and that will be, I guess, good for the Celtics to kind of see. But who knows at this point if he's going to be even a help for the Boston Celtics, because we've seen, not even in just this series, but in the playoffs so far, he hasn't been that great.
No, currently averaging 9.7 points per game in the playoffs. Just a little reference, shooting, I believe, 16% from 3. So awful start for KP.
Well, you got to remember, he isn't just dealing with this illness right now. He was out for a couple of weeks, right, during the regular season with with, I guess
it's the same illness that they said.
That's
so
what I was gonna
like,
say. I was gonna say I don't know if I'm
related, yeah.
speculating by saying it's the same illness or not, because
Nah, yeah.
it seems like whatever it is, it's completely shrouded in mystery. So
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the Celtics are kind of keeping it very secretive. He was tested for mono and he came negative on that, so like at least that we don't know if it's like a long COVID. Like none of the reporters really even know. It's really all a mystery. I think the Celtics obviously medical staff probably kind of knows what they're dealing with it, but they're just not wanting to like have it obviously be out there for the trade value and stuff like that too, depending on next season.
Yeah, I do have a genuine question surrounding the Celtics medical staff more than anything else. We've seen this with the Knicks time and time again. If a Knicks player gets injured, there's not a clear answer on what happened. I mean, last year, Julius Randle tries to go over Jaime Jaquez in the last minute of a game in January. Clearly dislocates his shoulder. You could see that it popped out. But everything that the Knicks said is like, well, we don't think he'll need surgery. It's just the rehab part of everything. He's going to have to do some physical therapy. That'll help everything. And then we could probably see him back in a month, into February, early March. And then they were like, it's taking a little bit longer. We should probably see him at the end of March, sometime in April. And then they're like, we're seeing how it's going. He's in the rehab. He's lifting. He's working every day. He looks like he's in great shape. All that stuff. And then, yeah, Julius is working really, really well. But by the way, he's not going to play again for the Knicks until October. And then also, we're trading Julius Randle to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Karl-Anthony Towns. So that's the last time we're ever going to see him in a Knicks jersey. It was this constant just answering it but not answering it, where they're like, well, here's what he's doing, but we're not going to tell you how he's doing. And the Knicks did that with Brunson. They were very, very cryptic on when he was going to return from that ankle that's clearly hindering him. He's rolled his ankle like 4 different times in the playoffs already. So there's that. And on top of everything else, like, the Knicks they did this with Mitchell Robinson. They said he was going to be back in December. Mitch didn't play till mid-March, and they didn't say that was going to be a thing until mid-February. They're like, yeah, we'll see him in mid-March. Like, they hide stuff well, and they hide stuff often. Do the Celtics do that at all? Do they, like, kind of keep things under wraps?
Yeah, they 100% do. Specifically with Kristaps Porzingis, I've noticed in the year and a half that he has been here and kind of like following the team more, that they have been very secretive on his injuries and like when he is out. Like they're not as secretive, I would say, as the Knicks from what your examples were, but like they won't really give a clear answer. They haven't really given a clear answer on this. They're like, yeah, Kristaps Porzingis is good, but he has an illness. Like, so it's like, is he good? Is he not? Like, we really don't know. And that's like kind of like up in the air, like the mystery to be discussed. I would say revolving around like the other stars, like Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, they're a little bit more upfront with it, right? But like, and like with like Sam Hauser and stuff like that, like some of like the other guys on the end, but like maybe like a Kristaps Porzingis or a Drew Holiday, I would say they've been a little bit more secretive for sure.
That does tie in also with the two guys who would get traded to cut that money a little bit as well, which makes things interesting. Also, I'm realizing my name tag looks a bunch smaller than you guys, and it's hurting my ego. So I have to. I'm looking at the stream right now, and I'm like, I don't like the size of my name tag right now. But we do have some comments.
That's what good organization should be doing. Like, there's no reason you should be giving out all the information. If I was, if I was a coach of any sport, I would answer the questions that I have to like contractually answer, and other than that, I'm not giving you any information.
Absolutely. So there are a few comments. There are a lot of Knicks fans are basically echoing, we want to see Karl-Anthony Towns post up more. We want to see more of that game to Karl-Anthony Towns. I agree. I love the way the Towns played in game 2. A huge part of it, no doubt, going back to what we've been talking about, is Porzingis isn't there. Like, Porzingis knows Towns well. The guys have openly been friends for a bit, and on top of that, what we've seen is KP and Towns have had very good battles, whether it's Knicks versus Timberwolves, Mavericks versus Timberwolves, Wizards versus Timberwolves, Celtics versus Timberwolves, Celtics versus Knicks. We've seen Porzingis over these years playing Towns enough that he knows how to guard Karl-Anthony Towns well, and Porzingis is one of the few big men who also loves to be perimeter-centric like Towns and knows him well. There's a lot. I mean, I didn't love Porzingis for a while. I'm kind of past the whole trade stuff because the more you read about it, the more it was his brother Giannis was like, I don't want to say manipulating him, but living vicariously through KP for a while and was his agent because he was 10 years older. And when your brother who's 30 is going to be like, I'm your agent now, you're kind of just going to go with it. So KP went with it, and he forced KP, not forced KP, but he was the one. He was like the devil in KP's ear saying, request a trade from the Knicks. Let's leave the Knicks. Let's go to Dallas and stuff like that. So also something interesting is when Porzingis initially requested a trade, one of the teams he did say he wanted to go to was the Celtics in the first place. He already showed interest in the Celtics when he was a member of the Knicks. So this connection between the Celtics and Porzingis isn't exactly new, but neither is the connection between Porzingis and Towns. And we've seen Karl-Anthony Towns look a lot more confident when there's 38-year-old Al Horford, who somehow has not lost a step ever since turning 35. He stayed the same player, which has really been incredible. And shout out to Al Horford. He's an awesome guy. But we've seen Al Horford and Luke Kornet, who are both plus defenders, absolutely. Like, they both have weaknesses. Horford being he can't play 35 minutes a night anymore, and Kornet being as good as he is at protecting the rim, and he's a good rim protector. The Knicks are 100% ignoring him on offense. I don't know where Kornet's offense went from that guy on the Knicks who was pulling threes, but at the same time, he's awkward. And I know Towns is awkward as well, but Kornet's that 7'3", that really not having that hand-eye coordination, not having that footwork coordination at all, to where Towns is able to take advantage of him because he's getting to his spots easier. I mean, I think that's quickly become the X factor of the series. I feel like Porzingis is usually an X factor for the Celtics.
Of course, Porzingis is an X factor. Everyone's looking for a center who can shoot threes or a center who can rim protect, and then he's both. So he's pretty much the type of player that everyone's looking for. But what is really important about Karl-Anthony Towns in Game 2 and why he was so different, do either one of you guys know how many three-pointers he attempted in Game 2?
I know in the first one he attempted one.
Game 2 is also one. Only one three-pointer. And it's so much better when he's not trying to pretend like he's Steph Curry, and he actually is going down in the paint when he has a matchup where he's just that much bigger than his guy. First of all, he had, however many free throws he had in Game 2, but he should have had so many more. That first half, there were so many times where he got hit, and I understand there are some plays where he complains, and he didn't get fouled, but he complains anyway. But there were also so many times where he should have gotten even more free throws, and I do think keep feeding Cat is absolutely the way to win, as long as Kristaps Porzingis stays off the floor.
Can I ask you guys a question about the fouls and stuff like that? Because we saw, you bring it up, Matt, Game 2, no foul calls at all, right? Very, very physical, hard game compared to Game 1 where it felt like every 3 seconds there was a whistle.
That was rough. Look,
absolutely ridiculous for Game 1. I did not like the refereeing from that. I know you texted about it too to me, Chris, when we were when the game was going on. Like, both of these calls are going bogus on both ways, and it's just like, I like that they allowed them to be a little bit more physical in Game 2, even if there weren't as many calls compared to as were Game 1. But maybe find a middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, when we were texting about that, one thing you said was we're probably not going to agree on anything but this in the series, and it was awful. It wasn't even like it was. At least from my perspective, it didn't look biased towards the Celtics at all. I don't think it looked biased towards the Knicks either. I just thought the calls were bad. I thought there was a bunch of fouls on each side that should not have been called. There was stuff where, Towns was getting a bit of these dainty calls where, yes, he's making contact, but not playoff contact. There was one foul, I want to say it was on Jason Tatum, where Brunson took a fadeaway, and it was a foul. And it's like, I get it's his left arm. I get it's his shooting arm. But touching the arm in the playoffs when it's not going to really alter the shot unless the player's like, oh, contact, this is going to mess with me, which basketball's a contact sport. That's part of the game, or part of what it should be. I mean, Matt, you are someone who, and I don't necessarily disagree with you here, who's adamant that players really don't press the gas down very often in the regular season. It's why you are a huge college basketball fan. I know you love the NBA as well, but it's why you do prefer to watch college basketball more often, because it's more of that contact sport. It's more of that style where you're playing through contact, and if you get hit and try to sell the call, the ref is not going to bail you out or anything. So I think Game 1 felt like a regular season game in way too many ways that it just should not have been, because playoffs, one of the big things that fans, players, everyone loves about them is the game becomes a contact sport. It becomes way more college basketball rules. People are going to travel in the NBA all the time. There's nothing that's going to stop that. But there's usually less fouls. Game one,
Dude,
there was more fouls.
They NBA, they travel and carry on every possession. But it's like if it doesn't affect the play, it doesn't affect the play. But Chris, what's crazy with the NBA and college basketball, the big complaint with March Madness this year was there weren't upsets and there weren't like crazy buzzer beaters. And the NBA playoffs have absolutely taken that basketball excitement at the end of the game. They're like, you guys didn't get enough in March, you got it right now in May. And that's why, especially the second round, but really the whole playoffs have been so much fun to watch. And it's like a completely different sport from the regular season. Like it's actually been 10 times better because Chris, I'm telling you, the players actually care now. They don't care about every game in the regular season. They care now.
Very quickly, shout out to Anthony Chobot. Thank you for the subscription to Knicks Digest. We appreciate it. Also, go and subscribe to Celtics and Suns Digest to get daily content from Bruce Veliz as well. But I do want to ask Bruce a question here. Complete opposite fan perspective. I have definitely my theories on things the Celtics are doing wrong. But again, as I said, I mean, I'll watch a Celtics game if I'm eating dinner and I'm in front of my TV and I'm going to turn on NBA League Pass, which is the greatest thing ever when you don't have to listen to the local announcers, because if it's not the Knicks announcers, the local announcers usually are not very fun, but that's a gripe for another day. Bruce, what do you think the Celtics are doing wrong here? Like, what's the problem? This team, as you said, they've won 5 of the 8 quarters. Like, what's the issue?
So, I don't know. I don't think it's them really getting complacent, but like you saw in game one, they lost the second half basically by not taking advantage of mismatches, right? And I think that's a key thing that we've kind of seen. One, Jason Tatum in game one had a fantastic first half, but his second half was absolutely atrocious because he just kept chucking up threes and wanting to get a shot to fall. And if you look at the stats, like a majority of them are like considered wide open shots on like the NBA site. So like you can say that they're good generated shots. That's what Joe Mazzulla wants them to take. And the argument is like New York is clogging the lanes, so like it's tough to drive on New York. But like in game two, when they had that 8 minute drive spill, why when Tatum had that thunderous dunk at the end? I don't know why they're not doing that more through that 8 minute stretch, right? I think that Mazzulla also he's been a solid head coach, and a lot of Celtics fans are kind of coming at him a little too strong. But in that final segment, I think he should have used that timeout once you saw after 5 or 6 seconds going by that there was no play generated, right? You want to at least draw something up to try to win the game. Luke Cornett wasn't playing at the end of the game. Al Horford was a little bit gassed. So some minor adjustments there on that end, I would say. And then from guys like Tatum and Brown, it's just kind of getting comfortable once again and just like being that aggressive person. Tatum, a lot of times in game two, shout out to my boy Nick NBA. He does Celtics breakdowns. I've had him on my channel, but he showed this perfect clip of Jason Tatum having Jalen Brunson on a mismatch and just standing in the corner and not demanding the ball at all and not trying to do anything and letting the team do stuff. And that's something you cannot have. There was also a play in the first half where I don't remember where Jason hit him at a wide open three and he like passed it up to Drew Holiday to the left when Drew Holiday was like cutting to the basket and had to like come back and take another three. Like feel confident in the shots you're willing to take, and I just guess like deliver more on them from the Celtics and try to work those mismatches. Because in the first half of the second game, they were really using that Jalen Brunson mismatch, and then completely went away from it in the second half.
I agree.
Wait, can I say one thing about mismatches first?
Yeah.
So in the first half of game two, it felt like Jalen Brown, every time he got matched up against Josh Hart or Jalen Brunson, he was easily getting to his left hand, backing the guy down, and he wasn't even shooting like close layups or high percentage shots. He was literally laying it up right over their heads. And I don't understand why they're not trying to force more stuff like that in the second half, because it looked really easy in the first half. And I know they can only do that after a switch because we're not going to start Brunson or Josh Hart on a taller guy like that. But they got to work harder to get a matchup like that. There are too many times where the Boston Celtics are, one, they're shooting too early in the shot clock, and two, they're not even trying to get in the paint. Or there are so many possessions where they never even go inside the 3-point line. That's a problem. You talk about the open threes. So the analytics that you're looking at, they classify an open three if there's no one within 6 feet of you. So but the Celtics have been taking a ton of those and generating them. You're right, they just have to fall, but when you know they're not falling, you got to do something else. Like the coach just absolutely refuses to do anything else, and it's like it's kind of weird. Honestly, it is kind of weird because he's a championship level head coach who is what feels like consciously not adjusting.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would say it too. And there have been some minor adjustments. Like there was one play that I saw on a breakdown where like I think Jalen Brunson was going to attack the rim on a pick and roll, and like Drew Holiday like came over and hovered over to cover Jalen Brunson, and that or maybe it wasn't Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson was taking the three, and Derek White had to like rotate over to get over to the three, and it was like a bad pass, or else it would have been a good shot generation for the Knicks. And it's just like those little like defensive adjustments he's made. But I would agree offensively they gotta change that. And like you said, Matt, attacking with Jalen Brown, like you saw in the first half, was very dominant for the Celtics, and they just shied away from it completely in that second half, which is just kind of perplexing as well when you also look at it, what you talked about in the beginning, shooting 25% from three on both nights. That just cannot be happening. And if you're trying to get those, even if you get one or two mid-range looks for the Celtics right there, that's enough to take them over to win one of these games.
I agree. Very quickly, I want to throw one thing in. Shout out to Rep BX, who is a Jets Digest supporter, who gave us a quick shout out in the comments down below.
Nice.
Also, thank you to Jay Bishman for calling me a high quality media, even though I hard repped RJ Barrett, Tyler Kolek, and Landry Shamet. First of all, I stand by all my Landry Shamet comments. The guy averaged 10 points per game, shooting 49% on three from the final 10 games of the season. The man should be in the playoffs, especially against the Celtics, given they're winning these games. So I'm not going to argue that much about it. Tyler Kolek, I believe in. RJ Barrett, well, at this point, he brought us OG, so I'll take that. But something Jay Bishman actually mentioned that I did see, and Bruce, what you were saying kind of made me think of this as well, think of this comment, was how Jason Tatum has repeatedly praised Ime Udoka, calling him his most favorite coach. That's doesn't really seem like a knock on Joe Mazzulla and more praise for Ime being a very good NBA head coach, which we've seen. The Rockets were an excellent team this year. They definitely surprised me. I did not think they would finish as the 2 seed. I wasn't too surprised if they lost to the Warriors in the first round, but Warriors are definitely a tough out in round one, especially having Steph, Jimmy, Draymond. You have guys who know how to win. You have a coach in Steve Kerr, who's one of the best coaches in basketball. Like, all that stuff isn't the most shocking for a young and experienced team like the Rockets, but, I mean, it feels like when Mazzulla took over, and I've said this a lot on Knicks Digest, like just on this channel in general, and I never mean for this to seem like I'm bashing the Celtics or saying this like as like, oh, well, this is a problem for them. The Celtics are a formulaic team. As you said, they're not taking advantage of mismatches. I've seen Drew Holiday get offensive rebounds in this series. He's averaging 2 a game. I've seen him get offensive rebounds, and there's a world where he'd have a layup to take. It wouldn't be necessarily the most open layup in the world, but when Drew Holiday and Al Horford, both of them have pulled down offensive rebounds, and they instantly turn their head and look to that perimeter. The Celtics have this formula, and look, again, it's not hating because this worked. They won an NBA Finals. You guys are the defending champs for a reason, but it's if we find an open shooter, we give it to that shooter, they shoot the ball, and we ask questions later. There is that thing of the live by the three, die by the three thing. Sometimes teams run cold. The Knicks are a team that, as of this series, once again, have brought out the metal bats that they're just going to beat teams over the head with. It's a physical game. And yeah, the team's different. And last year's metal bat team, as we called it, was truly one of the most hard-nosed Knicks team, probably the most hard-nosed Knicks team I've ever watched. More so than this team for sure. But we're seeing that grit and determination come out where it feels like the Knicks are not forcing the Celtics into exhaustion, but they're making them work way more for these threes than they did in the regular season. So it feels like almost one of the reasons with these mismatches is that almost formulaic style the Celtics are running. Mazzulla is standing by it saying, we won a championship with this. We've been beating the Knicks the majority of this series, and we're down 2-0. We will be able to use this to win. I'm going to stand by it.
No, I agree.
Wait, no, have you guys seen the movie Moneyball?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, like, one of the last lines, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't, like, one of the last lines where they say, like, statistics hold up over the course of the entire season, but in one game, anything can happen?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, over the course of the season, Boston's going to hit the threes, but in one game, one second half, one fourth quarter, Mazzulla has to adjust and see that they're not hitting them. Because the Celtics, they weren't just, barely missing threes. They were airballing 3 after 3 after 3. They had that one play where Jason Tatum caught the ball at the bottom of the screen in the corner and held the ball for like 2 seconds and then almost airballed the three. Like they were so bad,
Oh,
dude.
when Brunson fell.
Was that was that the
dude.
late? Was that the one at the end of the game where he was in the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That one was awful.
Yeah, they were up
I
7.
know.
That would have done it.
You guys got the shooters, but right now the percentages that you guys are shooting from three, Mitchell Robinson has shot 27%, 3 for 11 from the free throw line. Put up the worst free throw that I've ever seen live. And he is somehow still, his free throw is more likely to go in than any given Boston Celtics 3. And that should be impossible.
Yeah, that is a sad stat to actually compare it to. And I would agree with you, Chris. I think they like you mentioned the grabbing the rebound and turning, right? And that is like the perfect ideology of what the bigs do. No big grabs the ball and goes back up with it. Maybe Luke does occasionally, but not a lot, right? They always are looking for that three. And I think you kind of hit it on the nose. It's the formulaic kind of like production style that they have of how they're going to win, how they're going to craft this team, how they're going to dominate. And unfortunately, they're going to have to do some changes, right? They're going to have to give some sort of spruce of something, right? We saw them kind of attack the rim a little bit more in game 2 compared to what they did in game 1. I'm sure they're going to try to do that a little bit more. And then I'm sure that with Kristaps Porzingis coming back, they're going to try to utilize him. I think they utilized him best versus New York, kind of at that power forward position as that shooting forward on the wings. He was hitting threes left and right in MSG. I think that's similar to what they need to do to kind of bring out his offensive style to kind of combat with Karl-Anthony Towns. Even if Cat's not shooting the threes, if he's scoring in the post to kind of match that.
I will say something about Porzingis that has aggravated me in the 3.5 years I watched him play. This was not really the case the year he tore his ACL, but the 3 years prior to that it was, or the 2.5 years, because I guess it was 2.5 years on the Knicks, or playing for the Knicks, and then 3.5 on. But one thing that he never did was, first of all, why are you averaging 6 rebounds a game? You're 7'3", but I mean, Jason Tatum should not have been leading the Celtics in rebounds per game the last 2 seasons. That's insane.
Yeah.
Also, Jason Tatum's a phenomenal rebounder.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we can give Jason Tatum some support here. Or not support, but we can give him some respect when everyone in social media right now is tearing him down.
Yes.
Oh, no. You're absolutely right. He's, as far as forwards go, like specific non-big man forwards, Jason Tatum is without question the best rebounder of all of them.
Oh, yeah. No, he always rebounds. No matter what's going on, if he's shooting well, shooting poorly, he always rebounds.
He's not the biggest guy in the world. Like, muscle big. He's not smaller. He's not thin, but like for a 6'9" guy who's not like super like muscular or anything, the man has zero qualms about contact whatsoever, and it's why he's been able to do really well against Mikal Bridges throughout the whole season, because Mikal is. I mean, I love Mikal Bridges. He's one of my favorite players in the Knicks. I've been a huge Mikal fan because I wanted the Knicks to draft him all these years ago when we picked Kevin Knox, but
Fortnite.
Fort Knox, man. Fort Knox. Who's on the Warriors right now, but basically Mikal's made of toothpicks. He's a thin guy. However, Mikal also has 2 game-winning stops. So
I mean, did we not lose a trade anymore? Because 2 weeks ago we lost the Mikal trade bad, like real bad.
I think that currently the Nets will always, on paper, have won that trade.
I understand, though.
If the Knicks win the NBA Finals at some point with Mikal having an impact on it.
No, what? You're saying the Knicks can win the Finals and we still lost the Mikal trade?
No. I think if the Knicks do win the Finals, then
you said unless.
I think the Nets will win regardless because they got a bunch of draft picks.
The Nets win the trade unless
all
we
depends
win
on
the
the
Finals
picks,
with Bridges.
It does also depend on the picks. 2 of the 5 picks are this year. One of them's the Bucks, who are picking 22nd, 23rd, and the Knicks, who are going to pick anywhere from like 24th to 30th. I mean, it's probably going to be 30th because we're winning the NBA Finals.
Probably be 31st.
All right. Well, Matt, real quick, has to pay some bills. So Bruce, right now it's us 2. While Matt pays some bills, aka Matt's making a new Zoom. So until then, here we are. So. This has been interesting. Definitely didn't expect this. I was saying to Matt, I was upset in a way that the Knicks won game 1 of the series. If they had to win one of the games at home or on the road, I would have rathered it be game 2 because I didn't really want to come in here with you guys having a win over us as the last game. So I'm feeling good right now, but while we got another minute in the Zoom call before Matt restarts, so we'll roll right into that. But how are you feeling about like this series in general? If you could put it into like a sentence, what are your thoughts? Mm-hmm. Same. Neither do I. I do think if there's a blowout, it's going to be on the Celtics side. All right, I sent you the Zoom link. Matt sent me the Zoom link, so let's do this. Guys, aren't you so excited to watch me and Bruce join a Zoom link right now? I know this is the thrilling content you guys have been waiting for on Knicks Digest, is watching me join a Zoom. Yeah. Well, look, we're already back. Look at that.
Was that
We're
fast?
getting better at this. Look, Knicks Digest Happy Hour Season 2. Matt, if you could just move a little bit to a side of yours, we're so perfect right now. You're going the wrong way.
Oh, I thought I got to pick the side.
No, sorry. You're not allowed to choose anything actually on Knicks Digest. This is my show. No, but in all seriousness, Bruce, I do agree. I think that we're not going to see too many blowouts right now. Okay, wait, hold up. I need to unmute you guys real quick. Hey,
Nice.
We're good. Steve Kerr seen something in Tatum we ain't seen when he got benched. It's time to read some comments. We got to check on these comments.
Yep.
And then also I have a very interesting topic that we've gotten a lot of comments on in this chat thus far that I do have to bring up. I feel like Randall would have shined playing against the Celtics. I mean, probably not against Porzingis personally. I think Randall could have struggled. But also, I'm just so happy to see Randall succeeding in the playoffs. Julius Randle, really, really making a new name for himself.
I do want to see him do well. I mean, I don't want to see him, average 40 a night and win the finals, but I want to see him do well.
As an avid, not Julius hater, but non-believer of Julius being able to step up into these occasions and live up to it, I am very, very excited for the Timberwolves and very happy for him because I think it's time that he gets to prove everyone wrong.
I'm shocked it's working. With Edwards, Gobert, both of them on the team, with McDaniels, I was like, Julius is going to have such bad playoff luck throughout his career. Between bringing mailmen to the playoffs, bringing R.J. Barrett and a pack of Island of Broken Toys to the playoffs. And, dude, that starting lineup was Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock in the backcourt. And then R.J. Barrett's your small forward. Shout out R.J. Barrett. He's the man. We'll always love R.J. Barrett. Julius Randle and Nerlens Noel. That starting five belongs as a 12th seed. And Julius had them at 4. Yes, we got dominated by the Hawks. But Julius was getting triple teamed by everyone, and no one could hit a 3. Reggie Bullock shot like 20% from 3 that series, after being a 40% shooter. RJ did his thing, sort of, and then everyone else outside of Derrick Rose.
Like, RJ did okay. He was also a culprit of tons of missed shots.
Dude, it's all right, because one day, someone who works for White Claw will sponsor, will hear about this, and they'll become a sponsor of Knicks Digest.
Good.
I don't know how that has to do with RJ, but I love
Did you see Vili ENT? Chris, just like you, he was pissed off when he first traded for Cat.
Yeah, man, I didn't like the trade at the beginning. I made a video on the side of the street. Shout out to the person who I was with for dealing with me that night. That was really cool of them. For standing there and watching me record a video for 10 minutes on that. That was a really cool moment. So shout out to them. They're great. But look, it was a
Chris, do you still have a Porzingis jersey?
I don't. I have right now up. I have my Derrick Rose, my RJ Barrett. Derrick Rose and RJ Barrett hang over my bed and watch me as I sleep. I have my Jazz Chisholm Knicks City jersey. I got it. Shout out to Jazz Chisholm for handing it to me personally. Because
one day Jazz Chisholm will hear this and sponsor us.
Jazz Chisholm will hear this and sponsor Knicks Digest for jazzchisholm.com or whatever.
Jazz Chisholm Digest.
The Walt Frazier, the John Starks, my brother's towel for when he showers, and Carmelo Anthony.
And the
Jazz
propaganda.
Chisholm Digest would be awesome.
Whoa.
Spreading propaganda about Jazz Chisholm.
Dude, Jazz Chisholm's the man. Yankees Digest, guys. Go subscribe. Derrick Rose playing 40 minutes, literally. We had to play him that much.
Dude, he was so good though. He was so good.
That game too.
Dude, Rose was actually terrible when he started, but we brought him off the bench. Just actually the truth.
For some reason, sixth man Derrick Rose was a legend, and well, shout out Derrick Rose. But Bruce, you never got to see Derrick Rose play for your team, so
no, sadly not.
Such a shame.
Yeah, what a shame.
But
you have to watch your team win championships. And
you got to experience 2 championships in your life. We got to experience Derrick Rose have a good game too. So the dance, I saw it.
That's not a fair trade, Chris. We won this trade.
Dude, I know. We got a game of Derrick Rose. He got 2 rings, and Bruce was like a child for one of them. But
Chris,
yeah.
Oh,
I do.
It's time to talk about it from Jay Bishman. He said, no one talking about how OG has played himself into being the ultimate trade chip for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
You read my mind, Matt.
I know you want to talk about it. What you got to say?
Look, well, first of all, I think the Knicks would do everything in their power to not trade OG for Giannis. Look, I don't think Giannis is going to end up on the Nets, and it's for one simple reason. Giannis not Giannis, but the Bucks and the Nets, they could agree on a Giannis trade. The Bucks theoretically could acquire Claxton. It depends on if the Nets have cap space, because they don't really have another tradable contract that fits for Giannis' contract outside of Cam Johnson, who they'd want on the team. So they'd have to do some salary cap gymnastics that are definitely possible. I will say the person on this show right now to answer salary cap questions is Bruce. He's the best at it. If you watch anything Digest, Bruce is the best at basketball salary cap. He knows the rules. I ask him questions all the time about this stuff. But if the Nets can pull it off, they'd want to. But Giannis what's he gonna do? Be traded for all their assets or most of their assets, and then say, all right, who am I playing with? It's me and Cam Thomas against the world. Like, we're not winning anything. I'm just in a big market to be in a big market. I'm gonna walk. So I think that kind of depletes the Nets to where the Knicks, theoretically, it works almost exactly financially, but it does work under the NBA's rules. That the Knicks, and I know this comment that I'm going to make right now is going to get hate, because it's already gotten hate when I mentioned it in a video. You can trade Cat and Mikal Bridges with those 3 pick swaps for Giannis and Bobby Portis. If I'm Leon Rose, I'm certainly considering it. Here's the thing, though, and I didn't realize this when I invited Bruce on today, or the other day whenever I sent you guys a text. But look, doesn't Jalen Brown and Porzingis make more sense to trade for Giannis if you're the Bucks? Bruce, what do you think?
To be honest, I think that, unfortunately, I don't know why, but I think the Celtics will be interested, or names will be thrown in Kevin Durant and Giannis, and I think that's kind of crazy to kind of speculate, but
KD would be insane.
KD, I could also see possibly going to the Knicks. I don't know what your guys' takes on that, but from Suns Digest, that's been a topic of discussion for maybe OG or something like that. But
I think Tibbs would hate KD because he doesn't play defense.
I don't think that it would work personally. I think there are other teams that are better, but I know that their name's thrown around. I don't think that. I feel like Giannis on Knicks makes more sense on the Knicks than he does on the Nets per se. Because, like you said, Chris, I don't think there's any way to do it. And I just did the trade. It would have to be Claxton and Cam Johnson, and then they would save $10 million, and I guess could sign somebody or trade for someone else, or I guess could sign and trade Cam Thomas or something like that. But I don't even know if you want to do that. If you're
something with Trae Young is my guess.
Yeah, like maybe, but it's like. It's kind of similar to what they did when they went for KD and Kyrie, which is just like uprooting a rebuild for no reason just to get stars because you have salary cap, which doesn't to compete with New York, which doesn't really make sense in my eyes. But I don't mind Giannis on the Knicks. Personally, as a Celtics fan, I would not like it. But I mean that Cat and Mikal Bridges trade, I mean, like, to be fair, like, is a good package, and for the Knicks, like, you have Jalen Brunson and Giannis. It's a very, very good team.
I'm just saying. I love Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, and also this team might be working. If I said this a while back, that before the season started, this team is built to be the anti-Celtics. It's a matter of if it works or not. Right now, where we stand today, Friday, May 9th, at 6:49 p.m., the anti-Celtics move is working. Now, all that being said, I don't think this Knicks team is a finished product. They don't have a very good bench. Deuce McBride's an excellent bench piece. Mitchell Robinson's an excellent bench piece who could also easily start. Landry Shamet is next up. He's good. I'm not hating on Landry Shamet. Not a great bench. We will have that taxpayer mid-level exception to use. We got around $7 million per year to throw around in free agency. Is that going to net us something incredible? No. Will it be able to net the Knicks someone between 6'6" and 6'9" who could score the ball and play good enough defense? Probably so. So it's a matter of if they could find that viable eighth man who could fill in for OG, Mikal, those type of guys, Josh Hart, in moments when those guys are going down with injuries, or just so you don't have to play them 46 minutes a night. So it's a matter of the Knicks finishing this bench off. Now, Pacome is an exciting piece, but he's still 19 years old. He doesn't turn 20 for a while. So there's him, and he's a long-term project pick for the Knicks. And outside of that, you don't have any other forwards on the roster. Now, one guy I really wanted the Knicks to look at, or on the bench. They have forwards.
PJ Tucker's on the roster.
Oh, good. We have a guy who's old enough to be all of our fathers.
Great pickup, by the way. Great pickup. I love that pickup.
I do
for the
love
locker
PJ
room.
Tucker.
Yeah, I feel like for the locker room, it's absolutely fantastic.
I love it because he's not going to complain at all if you play him 0 minutes for the whole year. He understands it. He can see the roster and he knows why he's not getting in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually kind of like PJ Tucker as someone who the Knicks should have tried to use at some point, but I understand that he is 40 years old. So.
I also think he's like a pretty solid, anchor who can shoot threes when he's wide open. So
that's kind of my thought too. It's not like he's had a ton of mileage over the last couple of years. He's probably got something left in the tank, but he also got signed to a 2-year deal so the Knicks can manipulate salary so they could trade him. So that's really why they signed him for that 2-year contract as well, because Brock Aller, the Knicks vice president of something or other. He's not the vice president of basketball operations. That's Garrison Rosas. But Brock Aller, who's basically just a salary cap wizard, one of the best salary cap wizards in the game, he very much is doing a lot of this stuff. I mean, the Knicks manipulated the salary cap to trade for Towns. They didn't have the money because DiVincenzo and Julius was $9 million short. So what they did was they traded DeQuan Jeffries.
We're still paying for that move.
DeQuan Jeffries.
We would be up 3-0 right now if we
had
hang on
DeQuan
to him.
Jeffries,
Bro.
we would have won 3 games. We'd have 3 wins in 2 games for sure. But on top of that, there was DeQuan Jeffries, there was Diakite, and Dwayne Washington Jr., who the Knicks, to make the trade happen because they couldn't trade minimum contracts because that apron stipulation, they paid them all $1 over the veteran minimum deal. So the Knicks, they're great with loopholes. Shout out Brock Aller for that. He does not get the most credit in the world. And someone saying Toumani Camara from the Blazers. I believe he's under contract, and I also believe he'd cost a good amount of money. The Blazers do love Camara. That feels unlikely. But they need to find someone who could be this bench piece for them. In all seriousness, just looking at the Celtics, the defending champions lineup, you need a sixth man who it doesn't have to be as good as Peyton Pritchard. There's a reason why Pritchard's the sixth man of the year. He deserved that award 100%. But you need someone who's close. And the Knicks don't I don't want to say Deuce isn't at all close. Deuce was great for a lot of this season. But you need more of a series. Bench.
Dude, yeah, Deuce has been real bad.
He's been good in this one. The Pistons one.
Dude, I don't know about good. He's been better than he was against the Pistons. In the playoffs, it feels like there's maybe the moment's a little bit too big for him at this stage in his career because it feels like I mean, maybe he's just thinking differently this year. Maybe this year he's thinking, I got to show off in the playoffs because I got to sign a contract soon or something. Because he's missing wide open shots pretty badly in uncharacteristic ways from what we've come to know about this player. So, I'm expecting, I'm just expecting him to hit his wide open shots, and he's clanking them off the side of the rim and the brick. So
it has not been what you want to see from Deuce for sure. I just don't think this Knicks team is a finished product yet. All right, let's say right now the Celtics are the slight favorites to win the series. I understand why. Let's say the Knicks do finish this thing off and they win. They have to play what'll likely be the Pacers, considering the Cavs have 750 injuries and aren't as good as they seem. But I also, if everyone was healthy, I think it would be Cavs, Celtics, and given the Celtics are fully healthy right now, but I would have expected it to be Cavs, Celtics if no injuries ever happened at all. And given Porzingis is hurt, so that is an impact, and we're not going to act like it's not. So you look at that, I honestly had the Celtics beating the Cavs in 4 games. I think the Cavs are not as good as they seem. Darius Garland has come leaps and bounds defensively into what he is now. His screen navigation is wonderful. Not the world's greatest defender, but he's gotten better. Donovan Mitchell's phenomenal. There's no way around it. Evan Mobley's obviously a great defender, but Jared Allen as well. But I don't think a team with a bad defensive backcourt and a non-shooting front court can ever go anywhere in the playoffs. I don't believe in that style at all. So I think the Celtics would have ran through them like there was no tomorrow. I'm of the belief that the Knicks are going to beat the Pacers. Let's say the 2 teams that are 2-0 right now go to the conference finals. I have a bright future, but probably twice.
That's actually true. That's a crazy comment.
But you got a bright. All you guys are good, but prob's twice your age.
No, the last part. He said he was on Fizdale's college team.
Jay Bishman, I never said you didn't know ball. You've been following Knicks Digest since we had like 2
No. He's not saying that. He's not saying that.
Oh no, I know Jay Bishman knows ball.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's wild that you were. I'm sorry that David Fizdale was your coach. That's a shame. No, I'm playing.
Dude,
he probably was solid. He
probably gave him crazy data, bro.
Dude, take that for data. No, in all seriousness.
Oh, I want him to work out so bad.
Jay Bishman is one of my favorite Knicks Digest supporters because as long as I've been here at Knicks Digest, and I joined when there was 1K subscribers. Shout out to the 3 guys before me, Mr. Judah Loom, someone's name who I'm forgetting, unfortunately. No, I actually just don't remember his name.
That was an extremely sincere. That was an extremely sincere shout out.
The other one who hosted Knicks Digest now has over double the subscribers to him. So Troy's doing fine on the Knicks recap. He's doing his thing. But there was another guy as well who I want to say his name was Turquavion, but that's the player on the Sixers. Or Turquavion, but it's not that. It's Tremichael Daniels. Shout out to Tremichael for also doing his work to getting us here. And almost hired by Celtics Digest initially, but then
you got
Mr.
saved by
Rogers.
the bell.
I got saved by the bell by Mr. Rogers, who switched things up, or as Matt and I call him, something a little bit different. And I'll send you that text after. It's a comment. It was a comment that was left on his channel years ago.
That's awesome.
It's really funny. I need to try to find that one day. Ben sent it to me once, but talking about the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics, man. Look. We've been here for an hour, and I truly think that right now, neither of these teams have shown a full reason why it's like, this team's going to win the series. I think the Knicks have had moments where coming back from 2 20-point leads is, wow, this team wants it. You could tell they want it. You could tell that, I don't even want to call the Celtics having championship hangover. They had a great season. Pritchard's the 6th man of the year. Everyone on the Celtics played well. Obviously, Porzingis being out is a huge part of this. But it feels like both these teams have just left something to be desired thus far. What do you guys think it is on both sides?
I would say for the Knicks, it's the lack of shooting and the lack of scoring ability that they've been able to bring, because even with the Celtics' lack of shooting, these games have been close. For the Celtics, I would say it would be just their lack of confidence, I guess, in the second half, and I guess their ability to really kind of push it over the edge for
is it a lack of confidence or is it overconfidence? Because I'm seeing
that might be it, honestly, Matt. I think it might be a little bit of overconfidence where they feel like they have the job done, already up 20 points. And because I know Celtics fans that were like, oh, we're up 20 points, let's not do this again. And then we're like, you have to be kidding me. Like, there's no way that we like joked about it and it actually happened.
Dude, it feels like maybe like Derek White is matched up against Brunson. You're up by 20. He's trying to like just light the whole TD Garden up with like a deep 3. I think like that's part of what they're trying to do, and they think it's going to give them momentum back, and it would. but they're just not shooting well enough to attempt those shots. Like you got to earn the shots, and they didn't. Like any shooter can have an off night, and unfortunately, it's happening for everyone all at once.
Yeah, I think that's a tough part too, is like kind of trying to get out of this dry spell. I'm hoping, like, obviously that they shoot pretty decent from 3-point range or from the field at least tomorrow to at least kind of buy them some buckets to at least compete. And then defensively, I think both teams, like, the Celtics, I think, are a little bit better defensively than the Knicks, and we've kind of been able to see that. But they both have that like physicality and like toughness to kind of bring it out in each other to really work hard on one another. So I think you're gonna see that once again still instilled throughout both teams in the confidence. I'm just hoping that I guess this, and from my point of view, that the Celtics can I guess unlock that offense to compete with that defense
So,
presented from the Knicks.
Bruce, do you think there are any bench players on the Celtics that we haven't seen yet in this series who your coach is going to try to bring out to try to like as a change of pace?
Yeah, so with Sam Hauser being doubtful, that's kind of been tough for the Celtics. We didn't see that 3-point ability in game two. I thought that Joe Mazzulla was going to kind of dive into the bench for that role, look at either a Baylor Shireman or a Torrey Craig. He did not go into they didn't put any of them in. Torrey Craig's a little bit, I think, a little bit better just because he has that physicality to bring on those wings, right? He can switch on to Josh Hart or Mikal or OG and play pretty solid defense. His offense isn't the greatest, so if you're looking for a 3-point shot, maybe not, but his defensive physicality can be solid. Shireman's a little bit more of an offensive creator, but I feel like as a rookie, he's not going to have that confidence ready to go right off the bat into a game in MSG, and I would feel a little bit less confident throwing him in there. But I would love to see Joe Mazzulla at least try to use Torrey Craig because he was a buyout acquisition. He's used for these types of moments when they do have some injuries. At least, maybe 8 minutes at maybe potentially even 10 to kind of see what he can do for the Celtics team.
Is Hauser doubtful for tomorrow, or is that not
Yes.
out yet? He's doubtful for
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's doubtful for tomorrow.
So I feel like one thing that people aren't talking about yet is the Knicks. Like everyone's talking about how the Celtics haven't played their best basketball yet, and that's obvious.
Hmm.
But I feel like the Knicks still have a ton left to go as well because
Yeah.
we can feel pretty good, pretty safe saying that Jalen Brunson is due for one explosion of an
Hmm.
offensive game.
Hmm.
And if it happens game three, the Knicks probably win again. But
Yeah.
if we look at recent history, I think even if the New York Knicks do go up 3-0, the series still isn't done because we
Hmm.
saw it against the Miami Heat. Boston down 3-0, almost came all the way back. And I really think that is, if I could bet on it, like, I don't know if there's somewhere to bet exact series prices, but I would love to bet on Knicks in 7 should the Knicks win tomorrow.
I think that's a good. I like that. I think that this series, like I said earlier, is going to go 7 eventually. I think the Celtics will, even if they're not able to climb back and win both in MSG. I think that the Celtics will be able to force 7, if not at least 6 here, if the Knicks are able to secure that Game 3 win.
No
So
part of me would be
going back to the
surprised.
ticket prices, hypothetical game 6 at the Garden, or no, was it hypothetical or wasn't that? Yeah, hypothetical game 6 at the Garden. Tickets are $700. Still cheapest seats.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. For a
That's
hypothetical
crazy.
game is absolutely ridiculous.
For an if needed game, which
Hmm.
it most
It's all right, Bruce
likely
is buying me tickets.
it most likely will be needed, but
Yeah.
this series, no one, no, not even Vegas knows what's going
Yeah.
on with this series right now.
You guys see the betting odds that happened after Game 2?
What were they?
I
So
saw 'em.
after Game 2, I think the Celtics went from -120 to win the series to +135, and then it dropped from +135 to like 110, like 2-3 hours after, and then by morning of it was already back to minus odds for them to win because everyone kept betting on them to win.
I saw on DraftKings it was +100, and I literally texted Chris, "You gotta do you gotta coverage bet this right now, an emotional cover bet."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dude. I don't
Hedging
know
the
if-
sadness.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can do that right now, but I will say, with the Knicks Celtics game being less than 24 hours away tomorrow, I do expect the Celtics to win this game. At the end of the day, they're a phenomenal team for a reason. When you look at them in general as well, they're built well. They're due for a win against the Knicks, very obviously. I'm going to guess, as well as Bruce, that this goes to 7 games. My expectation is that the Celtics are going to beat the Knicks tomorrow by like 10 to 15 points, and then after that, the Knicks will win game 4, then lose both 5 and 6 in typical Knicks, we gotta make it exciting fashion. And then I think the Knicks would win game 7. Look, I know the Celtics are battle tested. I also, right now, with the Knicks, first of all, like really starting to click for the first time all season, and then being in this good stretch, as well as Jalen Brunson having been the clutch player of the year, and just the way this man performs, especially considering how last year ended with the Knicks going up 2-0 and losing in 7, I just don't think that would happen again. I think they will just I know it's a different team. We have the same coach. You have the same best player. I feel like Jalen Brunson, who, whether or not he breaks his hand in that third quarter, the Knicks were going to lose that game anyway. They were down 25 points when he broke his hand. Like, they weren't coming back. So I feel like Brunson's going to know that and just have it in his head, I'm not losing this game. And I think he has shown that in the playoffs, he's good enough to just basically decide he's not going to lose and then pull it off. Or at least thus far, he's shown that. It's a matter of, I'm stunned the Knicks lost that game 7. I figured Jalen Brunson's the best player in the series. He'll figure out a way. And first of all, he played well until the third quarter when he broke his hand. Obviously, Dante was awesome as well. But the Knicks got absolutely ransacked. The Knicks also are way healthier this year. They're not dealing with injuries. They're dealing with a bunch of guys like OG, who's healthy and doesn't have a hamstring injury right now. They have Mikal. They have a team that feels like they have a point to prove. And it's a matter of continually proving that. And look, they've done a lot by coming back from 2 20-point deficits. But even they've said, like, when they were asked, like, jokingly, so is that the game plan now, go down 20 points? And Jalen Brunson, sort of like, he has a deadpan sense of humor where he likes to kind of, he's a very dry-witted guy. Like, Josh Hart was ordering Uber Eats in the press conference, and he was asked, like, are you checking the stats? He's like, oh, no, I was just ordering some Uber Eats. And Jalen Brunson just goes, like, because it's his dry humor. But at the same time, like, he gave a very deadpan, well, I'd rather not, when he was asked, like, if that's the game plan to go down by 20. Like, you can tell that it's personal to him. Like, playing for the Knicks has become this personal thing. He's signed with the Knicks because these personal connections, but whether it's Leon Rose, who he's known forever, Tom Thibodeau, who he's literally known forever from coaching, being an assistant coach of those Knicks team that Rick Brunson was on. Obviously, the Knicks hiring his dad as an assistant coach 3 days before they tampered, and not 3 days before he tampered. They tampered then, but 3 days before they signed him. And on top of that, it's a personal thing with the Knicks. He has said all the time the most common thing that happens when, like, he has fan interactions or people just thank him. Like, it's less like I'm a huge fan. And Josh Hart has said, he's like, yeah, that doesn't happen with me. But on their podcast, Brunson said, he's like, I get thanked. He's like, people just go and be like, yeah, thank you for everything you've done already. Like, so it's become this personal thing where Jalen Brunson knows what he means to New York City, and Knicks fans are just so hungry to see this level of success because people our age, like, I talk about it all the time on Jets Digest. Matt and I were college roommates for 3 years. We're the same age, obviously, and in our lifetime, the Knicks have never made a conference finals. In the last 10 years, the Celtics have missed the conference finals, 3 times since 2015? I think it's 3 times. Like, this is just a tale of two cities. This one team that consistently will succeed. As much as the roster changes, whether it's Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Al Horford, whoever the hell your forwards were, because I don't remember. Who was there? Who was your forwards on those teams?
Jay Crowder.
It was Jay Crowder, yes.
We've had Amir Johnson in the past, which is a legacy name.
Blast from the past.
Yeah. Yabu never was like a mainstay, but he was on the Celtics for a bit. Yeah, he was there. The Zeller brothers, but they weren't. I don't think that. Olynyk, long list of random bigs that kind of facilitated until they got KP.
And
that was like their first one.
Even still is Al Horford, who did have that little hiatus where he got signed to the 76ers, so he couldn't lock down and beat anymore, and that was a nightmare. So he ended up on the Thunder for 25 minutes and made his way back. So you look at the Celtics, they went from Danny Ainge, who's a phenomenal executive, to him leaving and Brad Stevens in a year taking over Brad Stevens is the president, right? Or I know he's just running the show.
He's the general manager, yeah.
Is he like the main shot caller?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you're going from these two guys who have both been historically good already. I mean, Brad Stevens has been the general manager for a few years, so there's a ring to his name. Like everything we've seen from these teams, the Celtics have stayed good. The Knicks, even now at points, find their way to be the NBA's punchline. Even when they've made the playoffs, they've found ways to be the punchline of basketball after, I mean, Matt, we went through from 7th grade to our sophomore year of college, the Knicks didn't make the playoffs once. All we knew was
I've seen worse non-playoff streaks than that.
Subscribe to Jets Digest, everybody. Because that's been since 4th grade. Bruce, you a Patriots fan?
Yes.
Well, now you get it.
Yes, no, I understand. I lived with a Jets fan. I understand when I was in college. I understand the pain that the Jets have had to go through. And now, as a Patriots fan, I resent the Chiefs for what the Pats did for everybody across the league. So I now know how it feels to be on, I guess, like the opposing side of hating greatness.
Obviously, it's Knicks Digest, but real quick, do you have an opinion on the Will Campbell draft pick or just the Patriots?
Yes, I like it. I like it. I like the pick.
Are you aware that his arms are
Yes.
very, very, very short?
Yes. I don't think he'll be playing left tackle. I think he'll be transitioned to guard. But I mean, we need O-line. We didn't really address O-line in the front off in the free agency. So I'm happy that we kind of stuck with it. And I mean, like, I know a lot of people are writing off Diggs, but I'm not like sold that he's gonna be a number one like outstanding player. But we just need someone to catch the ball that's not Jalen Polk or Javon Baker or
Kayshon Boutte is breaking out this year, so look out for
Boutte. That. Okay. I'll keep an eye on him. But just like having someone else, at least like a steady veteran wide receiver, I think is key. And I think we'll be obviously a little bit better, maybe like 5-6 wins. You know what I mean? Not anything crazy or drastic, but just a little bit better and just kind of getting into those stepping stones of getting back to where we were.
Yeah,
I do like the pick for you. I like your guys' quarterback, though. Speaking of the Jets with Justin Fields, I did like that move of bringing him over with Garrett Wilson, and I think you guys are going to hopefully start to build something at least good there.
Yeah, we don't.
Dude, fantasy football players love Justin Fields.
Yes, fantasy football, yes.
Dude, he can't get it done at all, bro, at all.
I don't know if he'll be like a person, like a guy that's going to take you over, but like on the Steelers, he looked pretty decent from my analysis from when he started in the start of the season. So like I feel like with the Jets, if he has a decent protection and decent O-line, he won't be terrible. Obviously, it's not like you guys are winning a Super Bowl with him, I don't think.
Dude,
but like
that O-line better be decent. We spent 4 first-round picks over the last 5 years. That O-line better be decent.
Actually, we just got to take time. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Dude, apparently Mason Taylor said that he took number 46 because they just gave it to him, and he said he doesn't care. He just wants to win. And I was like, oh.
So okay. Breece Hall was number 35 at rookie minicamp, and Sauce was number 20. So that it's not set in stone.
As Lil Wayne once said, let it all work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think the Jets are going to be good next season, but I do think the New York Knicks have found themselves in the closest position they've ever been in my lifetime to winning the NBA Finals, and that's a good feeling. I do like the way that Jalen Brunson's looked weirdly good at defense. Like, he's never been as bad of a defender as people like to say. He's also never been a great defender or a very good defender at all, but his defense has been a pleasant surprise. Like, I also don't understand why Jason Tatum's not driving on him at all, because he's had these mismatches where he could drive on Brunson, and he is taking elbow fadeaways. So I'm not going to complain, but it is interesting to see Brunson be a bit of a better defender, have more defensive success than maybe he should. Bruce,
dude, he took a crazy charge. Game 2, he took a crazy charge. Oh, can we talk about that OG dunk?
Yeah.
Like, I know for a fact that was an offensive foul. 10 times out of 10, but my goodness.
Jalen Brown's dunk was almost pretty crazy too, the one that he got in the first half.
Yeah, when Brunson took the charge.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of those should have counted for cool points, considering it would have been a 1-point game anyway. They should just change the score to 93.
Yeah. They should at the end of the game they should have just been like, we'll add 2 points for both of those cool dunks to those two guys, even though
Those
they
cool dunks. Oh,
Shout out Leon Poe. What a name pull right there.
Leon Poe.
Dude, one day we're gonna get that 5-person overlay. We're gonna get Bryson and Marcel on here, and the 5 of us are just gonna start naming role players.
That works with me.
Yeah, it's gonna be name role player session from all of
That
us.
and the comments can help us out.
They can help
Continue
us
the
out,
list.
throw any names out there. But yeah, so very quickly, just because we're at the final legs of the first episode of season 2 of Knicks Digest Happy Hour. Bruce, you also do Suns Digest, and the Phoenix Suns had a much different season from the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics.
Yes, they did.
I mean, Matt Ishbia obviously not calling the shots, but he insists this team is going to win a championship very soon. James Jones stepped aside. This has been a weird time for the Phoenix Suns. It feels like the only way to keep going is to keep digging themselves in a hole to see if they find the way on the other side. What's going on there?
So a lot is really going on. I would expect a lot of change with Phoenix, and from what I've been hearing from the tapped in stuff, obviously they're switching their regime. They're bringing in Brian Gregory, who only really got hired because he's friends with Matt Ishbia, and that was kind of stated during the press conference and stuff like that. So a little skepticism there, but going ahead into this season, Devin Booker is nearing an extension that they could give him, and I expect them to give him that extension because the extension won't kick in for 3 years. So it gives them a little bit of flexibility with a player like Devin Booker to continue to build around him, which has been the main sentiment. I would expect a Kevin Durant trade. Obviously not going to be what they necessarily got back what they traded for him, but some sort of return. Maybe it's some of those first round picks, maybe it's some young players. And then I would expect Bradley Beal to be gone. The rumor is that they will try to trade him, but if unable to trade him, they will pursue with a buyout or stretch and waive, which will allow them to be able to technically buy out his contract for $30 million this season and then have to pay him $20 million over the next 4 years on their salary cap, which is a big hindrance if they want to kind of build and kind of stay afloat. They can get to the first apron though with waiving 2 contracts before doing Kevin Durant trades, so they can have some flexibility in that regard to either take on some bad contracts or, aggregate some salaries like a Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal. But in my opinion, I think the only untouchable at this moment is Devin Booker, just what everyone's been saying. But even at that point, he might not even be untouchable if he requests a trade or wants to get traded if he sees so much change going on.
Yeah, I feel like at some point, Devin Booker, who's been so much behind the sentiment that he said even in 2016, 17, where he was like, I walk around Phoenix and I still see people wearing Steve Nash jerseys. I want that to be me one day. Booker has stood by that in every sense of the word. But at some point, every single NBA player has a breaking point. Booker's been there for 10 years. You look at a guy like Damian Lillard, who is such a legend in Portland. Are you really going to do that after seeing how his careers went?
I was going to say, I compared a lot to the Damian Lillard situation. The only thing that I compared differently is that I feel like with Portland, they were committed to building around Dame, but maybe wanted to move off him a little bit more than he wanted to. I feel like with Devin Booker, the front office wants to keep him and wants to do this retool. So I could see them even this year, maybe not being the most productive, it being a 6 or a 7 seed in the West at best, and having a decent season where at least there's excitement, and then with free agency coming up in the next year and with having trades and some tradable contracts, being able to go get that other superstar to then once again back into that stardom. Because I do think that they still want to kind of put that team around Booker. But like you said, if they don't do that in 2 to 3 years, they could be in a situation where it's the Damian Lillard one.
I mean, as Jay Bishman said very quickly, because we're about to wrap this thing up, but as he said, Booker already looks like he could not be aging well from carrying the franchise. He's had a lot of miles already. There's times where he looks spotty at times. I've definitely seen that as well. I mean, this year, percentage-wise, not a good season from Devin Booker.
Yeah.
So
Not the greatest offensively. Had to be a little bit more playmakery this season, definitely for sure. But I think next season they're going to look to try to get him back to the scoring book.
They definitely should. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Suns is probably not going to work out. But I do like Devin Booker as a player. He's extremely fun to watch, so we'll see how all that goes. Guys, right now, $6-7 million a year for Booker is redacted crazy. I think on the right team, you could pay him that much per year with the way other guys are getting paid, because Devin Booker, when he's on the right team, is that good.
No, he's definitely worth that. In the Olympics, he played so well, bro.
Devin Booker is great.
He's so
it's
worth
a matter
that.
of finding
He's so
the
worth
right
that.
team, and he's put the backpack on for 10 years. I want to see him get an actual team that's not just scores.
How the GM saves the Suns, fire up his Xbox, get on 2K, and that's the only way. Because
Override
real life,
trade.
real life is done.
Trade override, baby. But guys, make sure you subscribe to Celtics Digest and Suns Digest for all the expertise from Bruce Veliz. Bruce, thank you so much for coming on, man. We're going to have you back on very soon. You're going to be one of the mainstays on the Happy Hour. We have our three mainstays with you, Marcel, and Bryson. Thank you so much for Matt Long for always being here, part of the Knicks Digest team officially. And on top of that, make sure you subscribe to Jets Digest, where he says a bunch of smart things and I say a bunch of dumb things and mispronounced names. Because, well, that channel only works because Matt exists. Without Matt, the channel would fail miserably. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Knicks Digest Happy Hour. We're here every Friday at 6 p.m. to 7-something p.m., depending on how we're feeling. Catch you on the next